Portals to the Absolute. Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj and spiritual practice. One of the most commonly asked questions, and also one of the deepest and most paradoxical questions, is about spiritual practice, both its place as well as what, if there is anything an I or a spiritual practice can bring about. This topic has been carried on and discussed for literally thousands of years by both students as well as teachers, gurus, and masters, as well as disciples and devotees. This short piece is presented as a way of both unveiling and revealing the most essential aspect of spiritual practice, as well as its most paradoxical. Spiritual practice could or might be viewed as both counterintuitive as well as argumentative. The essential points. 1. Spiritual practice takes place within the dream or illusion or mirage. Moreover, to paraphrase Nisargadatta Maharaj, all perceivables and conceivables are not you. 2. We all know the arguments of the Advaita or Neo-Advaita movement of the late 20th century and early 21st century, namely, there is no I, and or all attempts at spiritual practice only reinforce the sense of I, and or any attempt to do spiritual practice is the I trying to get something. Paradoxically, this is accurate. Spiritual practice is oftentimes misused as an attempt to better, change, or work on yourself, or as some form of personal growth. In other words, spiritual practice can be misunderstood and really becomes an attempt to be more, do more, have more, or create more. Approaching spiritual practice this way negates, as was discussed in previous YouTubes and DVDs, the essence of Advaita Vedanta. These discussions, however, ignore the basic underpinnings, namely that Advaita equals Vedanta, and Advaita is Vedanta, and Neti, which represents negating all names and labels, in Sanskrit called nama, and forms and solidness, in Sanskrit rupa. All this being said, it is essential to appreciate what has been given for thousands of years. First, you already are that. Second, it's a matter of recognizing that, and that you couldn't be anything else but that. Third, the answer is within, or more accurately, is you. This underscores the possibility that paths and portals can be revealed by returning to the teachings of Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. First, let's acknowledge that many people might find this quite a different look. Look in Sanskrit means darshan, than normal approaches. With this understanding, it is the intention of this material to 1. Reveal, evoke, or demonstrate that you already are the path that you seek. 2. That it is effortless. 3. That is omnipresent, but only in the sense that it is always there, not that it has some or contains some kind of knowledge or knowingness. 4. Just to abide in that which you already are, which is so obvious that it remains unrecognized, is really the most direct and simple path or pathless path to the recognition, appreciation, and realization of who you already are. In fact, this discovery is so effortless and so simple that some who have done a spiritual practice for decades might be surprised when they realize their portal, their unique portal, that has been overlooked. What is amazing is that once the portal is pointed out by a teaching master, like Nisargadatta Maharaj, the realization can be evoked, transmitted, recognized, and ultimately realized. However, in the end, the portal becomes realizable as we turn our attention around and realize we are not only that which we seek, but we are the path or portal from which we seek and which we sought from. In a small group context, to realize your own unique portal, which is where we already are, 3 vehicles could or have been utilized: the 6 yogas of Naropa, the Vijnana Bhairav and the Tantric yoga of Kashmir Shaivism, and self-inquiry. However, given the context of a short YouTube for now, the portals can only be pointed at. All of this being said, as you read, listen, and watch, please keep tucked away somewhere. Quote, all that is heard, or that is about to be read, seen, or heard, is non-existent. Shankara. Your Mirage brother, Stephen Narayan. Setting the context of neti neti or neti neti. Discarding all labels and names called nama and forms or solidness, mass or density called rupa. Spiritual practice contains 6 underlying mythologies or concepts or ideas or archetypes. The first mythology or archetype or idea or underpinning in spiritual practice is the basic premise of the Philosopher's Stone. The basic idea behind the Philosopher's Stone is you start off with an impure metal, usually lead, and then by processes of purification, eventually from within the lead comes gold. And so a lot of spiritual practice is about purification, letting go, and eventually that gold, which is already inside you, then somehow is revealed. The second mythology or underpinning of spiritual practice is calling upon other sources or source points or points of origination for help. Most religions and spiritual practices have some kind of prayer ritual or some kind of ritual where there's a higher source, a higher level, whereby you are calling out for that to help you. The third mythology can be taken up in almost every religion. In Christianity, the idea of being saved, what does it mean? Being saved means being saved from death. Religions are formed, for the most part, to answer one basic question: what happens after I die? So religions are formed to answer that big question. And what's the answer? You're saved from death. You never die. You keep going on and on. Either you go to another loka, you go to a heaven world, you go to wherever it is that you go. In the story of reincarnation, you keep incarnating again and again and again and again, learning lessons in order so that in the next lifetime you'll have a better life, or that you came from some place here to incarnate again and again and again. Often what's forgotten is that what is the difference between Hinduism and Buddhism? Hinduism has one basic premise that's significant around this idea about death, and that is that there's a separate individual self or soul that incarnates again and again and again and again. In the purest form of Buddhism, in his realization, and what differentiates Buddhism from Hinduism is that there is no separate individual self or soul that incarnates again and again and again and again. As an aside, from a pure point of realization, there is no birth. As Maharaj said to me, there is no birth, there is no death. Another way of saying that, even clearer if that's possible, is upon realization, there is no such thing as birth. There is no such thing as death. It is truly a concept. As Maharaj said to me, it's all an illusion. The fourth mythology is that somehow I am either going to be purified, another source is going to help me, I'm going to be incarnated in some form or other, and then I will be in a permanent state of bliss, a permanent state of blue light, a permanent state where everything is non-dual consciousness, a permanent state. And as we all know from experience, everything changes. There is no permanent state. The fifth myth is there's a perfect logic, a perfect logos, a perfect understanding. The great philosopher Jacques Derrida said that the history of philosophy is the history of a search for a logos, a transcendental logos. Why? Because if we have this logos, we have this logic, we have this reason, we have this understanding, and if we somehow get that, then all our problems will unravel and be totally resolved. So one of the mythologies is if we find this reasoning apparatus, this reasoning, then all of a sudden, everything will be perfect. So what we start getting into is looking for causes and looking for the effects. In other words, if I can figure out the cause or the cause of causes, and I get to that cause and I don't do that cause again, then I won't get this particular effect. Cause and effect are part of the illusion. Or as Nisargadatta Maharaj said, cause and effect are just a way of thinking about things. The sixth mythology is there's a source point, or a point of origination. The second part of Jacques Derrida's statement is the search for a logos, but also the search for a transcendental presence that was there prior to the creation of the physical universe. So there's two primary beliefs. Number one, that words mean something. In other words, because there's a word for something, then therefore that thing must exist. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a word for it. And there's actually a source point or a point of origination from which the universe appears. Actually, there is no source point. There is no point of origination. And the big breakthrough in Zen is the breakthrough realizing there's nothing whatsoever behind all of this. The trap of knowingness. Nisargadatta Maharaj. Anything you can know or know about, you cannot be. Therefore, discard it. The anthropomorphic and anthropocentric projective fantasy. First, falling into the trap of knowingness, and second, the trap of the anthropomorphic superimposition. The anthropomorphic superimposition is projecting and attributing qualities or characteristics that are dependent on a brain and nervous system onto that which does not have a brain and nervous system. In the latter, projecting and thereby attributing consciousness or awareness with the quality of knowing itself. Knowing oneself or awareness knowing itself requires a knower, and it is projecting the quality of knowing or being aware of oneself to awareness. Pure awareness is prior to knowingness, as knowingness is a byproduct and an abstraction of awareness. Anthropocentric. Considering human beings as the most significant entity of the universe. Interpreting or regarding the world in terms of human values and experiences. Anthropocentric projection is imagining you have a mission or a purpose or a reason, like boredom, or to bring love into the world, or to transform the world, or transform the planet, or to be enlightened. And that's your reason for coming here. Nisargadatta Maharaj, you are like grass growing. Spirituality is contained within the dream illusion, mirage appearance, counterintuitives. 1. Think counterintuitively. 2. Do not confuse the cultural and the spiritual. Counterintuitively, self-improvement and integrating spirituality into an embodied state is a Western phenomena and is part of the Western culture. 3. The waking state is actually also a dream state and could be called the waking dream state. Moreover, what we call the waking state is what is assumed to be the organizing state. The waking state is just one of many states. 4. The natural yoga, to be discussed later, is both effortless and natural to you. If it takes effort, you shouldn't be doing it. 5. You are already who you are. Change or even trying to transform yourself into something else or something better or different than what you are is resistance. Trying to change or transform yourself into something else or into some idealized, more lovable or kind, rather than fearful or angry counterintuitively, is resistance. In short, love and hate, forgiveness and revenge are both labels projected onto consciousness. Moreover, we are all subject to an ongoing play of the pair of opposites. Question: throughout your work, you keep on calling hope hopium. What's wrong with hope? Answer: hope is the compensation for suppressed loss and suppressed devastation. Another way to describe it is wishful thinking or magical thinking. The problem, as with everything that is suppressed, is that the hope continues to cycle through as a way to resist loss and devastation. To go beyond, you have to look at what's there. Nisargadatta Maharaj, you can't let go of something until you know what it is. When teachers or philosophies offer hope, they are offering a compensation, not an antidote to loss and devastation. The polarity of loss and hope, or the polarity of loss and devastation, yielding hope, is holographic in nature, which subtly reinforces its opposite, because all polarities are holographic. Everything will eventually morph into its opposite. In the metaphor of Pandora's box, when the box was opened, out of the box flew anger, fear, heartache, sadness, etc. The last thing to emerge from the bottom of the box was hope, sometimes translated as expectation. Paradoxically, most of us as children were trained to believe hope was a positive thing. Rather, it is a subtle feeling which resists its opposite and keeps the cycle of polarity going. The counterintuitive and paradoxical nature of spiritual realization, reviewing the teachings of Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. Nisargadatta, one who dwells in the natural state. Nisarga means natural, or for me, the natural yoga. Or better yet, the path that is totally natural to you. Krishna, it is better to do your own path imperfectly than another's perfectly. Nisarga Yoga. Nisarga means one that abides in the natural state. It could be said that Nisarga or Nisarga Yoga is the natural yoga or the natural state. About 20 years or so ago, I was fortunate to get back in contact with Mulapatan, Nisargadatta's primary translator. And he told me something which is extraordinarily significant. He said Maharaj pulled him aside one day and said two things to him. One was, forget me, forget Maharaj, forget the teachings. Stay in the consciousness as a portal to the Absolute. And on another occasion he said, forget me, forget Maharaj, forget the teachings. Stay in the consciousness and your own unique path will emerge for you. When you appreciate that Maharaj was a teaching master, which means that what he said was to a specific person, to a specific point in time, and for that person only. So if we to look at this statement, forget me, forget Maharaj, forget the teachings, stay in the consciousness and your Mulapatan's portal as a portal for you to go to the Absolute. Or forget me, forget Maharaj, forget the teachings, stay in the consciousness, which is your portal and your vehicle, and your own unique path will open and emerge for you. So he was saying to Mulapatan, consciousness is your portal. It doesn't mean it's anybody else's. In other words, it was specific teaching to him. He even had pulled him aside for that. Now, with me, which I've said many times, he initiated me through light, not sound, because sound is a portal and light is a portal. He initiated me through light and then said to me, now you know the nothing. And so now you can leave. In other words, my portal or my entry points were light and nothing. In his book, I Am That, he says to a student, you will get maturity quickly if you stay in your nothingness. In other words, there are many, many portals, primarily about a half a dozen. And you have your own unique portal, your own unique path. In other words, imagine we were making a cake and the cake had 10 ingredients. Basically, you might have a little bit of light and a little bit of sound and a little bit of vibration and a little bit of consciousness, maybe a little awareness. Whatever that combination is, your own unique portal. And the discovery of that portal is so obvious and so clear and so you that it's personally you. And once you realize or recognize your own combination or portal, and they do shift into one another back and forth, but as you realize your own portal, the only real spiritual practice, which is effortless, is to recognize your portal. Let's say, for example, it's consciousness, to stay in the consciousness, and also the knower, the awarer, the consciousnesser that's aware of the consciousness is made of the same consciousness as the consciousness. In other words, if my portal is nothing, or nothingness, or emptiness, if I'm a Buddhist, okay, so all I'm going to do is stay in the nothing, and the knower of the nothing is the same substance as the nothing, and that's my own portal, and that's my own unique, in quotes, path. Now, it's important because that realization and discovery is primary. For me, when I went to India, I got involved with a yoga particularly that was more of an energy, shakti type of yoga. That's not bad or good. That's what was offered. And so every yoga offers a particular portal or a particular path or a particular entry point. Now, the problem is if the yoga that you get involved with, let's say, is an energy, which is a portal, or shakti, which is a portal, and that isn't your portal, you will try to fit into somebody else's portal. And therein lies the rub. 90+% of the pain that I experienced when I went to India is because I was trying to take on somebody else's portal or path rather than discovering or realizing my own unique path. And once you do, everything just unfolds naturally. It truly is effortless. Recently, I was doing a 17-day workshop, and one of the men in the workshop, who I know for years, had this whole thing about consciousness and awareness. Now, there is a subtle distinction, as I mentioned in Nothing Comes from Nothing, between consciousness and awareness. And he was back and forth, and I said to him, it's obvious to me this is not your portal. If it takes effort, if I can't quite get it, or if I can't quite understand it, or if I feel like I have to work at it and it's painful, it's not my portal. Your portal is effortless, whether it be nothing, light, consciousness, awareness, or whatever. So when Maharaj, who was a teaching master, taught, everything was for a specific person, for a specific situation, for a specific moment in space-time. And that's it. So the Nisarga yoga is an effortless yoga that's natural and unique to you. And the thing that's so amazing about it is it's so natural. It's so effortless. It's so you that you don't recognize it because you can't possibly be that easy. In other words, it's so obvious. It's like that old metaphor of the fish in the water. The fish is in the water and he goes to the big guru fish and says, what's water? It's so you all the time that once you realize it and recognize it and sink into it, everything naturally and effortlessly unfolds from that. This is why Lord Krishna said, it's better to do your own path imperfectly than another's perfectly. A student went to Maharaj and said, should I effort at my sadhana, spiritual practice? Maharaj said, yes, one should effort and effort and effort at their spiritual practice. Then and only then will they realize that effort will get them nowhere. Back to the practice, Nisarga Yoga, the natural yoga. Spirituality and the search for enlightenment is a game within the dream which appears to appear on the absolute reality. Every position, every practice carries with it a certain experience and understanding which ultimately falls away as the recognition all of this is an illusion is revealed. Ultimately, all spiritual practices are a game within the dream or illusion. The end part of the game is to appreciate there is no doer or anyone behind the actions or events. The problem is that who you are is not a state, and all experiences, understanding, states and perception or points of view or points to view from appear within the dream. In this way, the purpose of the game is to realize the non-existent absolute. Ultimately, the game itself dissolves, which is one of the most difficult things to appreciate. Every person that is listening to this will have different reactions. Some will hate it, some will love it. However, you would not be listening to this if you did not know in your heart of hearts that it was a game and that you were pretending that it wasn't. Nisargadatta Maharaj paraphrased, spiritual paths lead to unreality. Reality lies prior to it. Once you enter into or believe the spiritual dream bubble universe, you will have all kinds of understandings, experiences, perceptions, and philosophies. None of these are true. Who you are is prior to the understandings, experiences, perceptions, and philosophies. However, once you enter into the game, you can easily believe your understandings, visions, ideas, experiences are real. All experiences ultimately have to be discarded along with their understandings or behavioral realizations or insights as not this, not this. One of the most counterintuitive realizations is you cannot trust your experience, and you cannot trust thoughts, memories, emotions, associations, perceptions, sensations, etc. Ergo, quantum psychologies, without thoughts, memories, emotions, associations, perceptions, sensations. With the metaphor of a thorn to remove a thorn, spiritual practice might direct the realization or recognition of your natural portal. The teaching master has the unique skill as well as the recognition and realization of the absolute, and to potentially transmit the portal and to guide you into your portal so that you can stay put there. Or as Maharaj said, you will get maturity quickly if you stay in your nothingness. Therefore, the essence of a spiritual teaching is to go back the way you came, Ramana Maharshi, to the portal and just sit there. For this we can explore the essence with a capital E, because given the context of the YouTube, it will be impossible to delve into each individual's unique portal. However, we can explore them and talk about them as a way to evoke them from background to foreground. What can never be forgotten is that if you don't get it or you don't understand it, and you are efforting to get it or understand it or experience it, it's not your portal or path. This is Nisarga, natural and effortless. Effort is a red flag that it is not you. Therefore, discard it. The portals. Now on to the portals with Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj as the context. Nisargadatta, one who dwells in the natural state. Nisarga, again, means natural, or for me, the natural yoga. One who abides in the natural yoga. It could be said that Nisarga or Nisarga yoga is a natural, effortless yoga. And the reason I'm continually repeating this is because it's critical to move forward. Finally, several portals with their variations. Portal, the deepest station or way station or layer or state from which everything appears to appear. Nothing actually appears from a portal. It just appears to appear or gives the illusion of appearing or appearance. Prior to the portal is the absolute. The portal is the most direct and clear station to be in or sit in or abide in or as. It is that portal which oftentimes gets confused with that or the absolute or the final realization. Why? Because from that portal or station, everything appears to be itself, non-dual, made from it, and is itself. I know this is repetitious. If you do not understand, do not get it, or it's difficult, you have a question about it again and again and again, that is because it's not your portal. Some examples. The portal of consciousness. Everything is consciousness. Nothing exists outside of consciousness. The portal of emptiness. Everything is emptiness, and form is condensed emptiness. The portal of light. Everything is light, ergo enlightenment. The portal of vibration. Everything is made of, or derived from, or originates as a vibration. The illusion. The answer lies within awareness. The answer lies within consciousness. The answer lies within the nothingness. The answer lies within the light. As a cautionary note, oftentimes a portal can mistakenly be confused as being the absolute. All portals, spiritual paths, and spiritual experiences are appearances or labels which appear to appear in the dream illusion. Eventually, the portals which are experiences dissolve. Prior to these portals is the Absolute, the Nameless Absolute, that. The portal which appears as the deity, the Guru portal. The portal of Kundalini Shakti or energy. Before I get into all the details of the portals and what they are and how they work, I think it's important to appreciate the context or background of all of this. In the early 1970s, I read a very, very short piece by Baba Muktananda. And he spoke in this piece of, this is the secret. This was his secret, his portal, his secret. And I would say from my time with him, if I took away a few things, this was the number one takeaway. He said that what he did was he installed in every part of his body his guru, Abhut Nityananda. So in every part of his body, he would take, that was his meditation, or certainly a big part of his meditation, was install his head. My head is Nityananda's head. My arm is Nityananda's arm. But going very, very subtly, slowly through it. There's a form of yoga called Yoga Nidra, where you go through different parts of the body, joints, arms, legs, slowly. It's also called, sometimes you go into a sleep state with it. And in the same way, he went through each part of his body, installing his guru, Nityananda. When I read that in the early 70s, I thought, well, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. And so I began to every day install Nityananda into the body. And I went on for about 11 years. In the early 1980s, I had come back from India, and I was reading a book by Evans Wentz. Now, Evans Wentz was the original scholar who wrote the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and then wrote a book called Tibetan Yoga. And so they're not easy books to read because they're very scholarly, and I got to Tibetan Yoga, and I'm reading. And the short of the story, all of a sudden I get to a chapter called The 6 Yogas of Naropa. And I start reading the 6 Yogas of Naropa, and one of the 6 yogas was the transference of consciousness at the moment of death. And that just pulled me completely. And it's a very long, long story, but I eventually went to Nepal to get those particular teachings. Now, as you go through these teachings, what I noticed was you installed the deity inside your body. So this is not a new thing that Baba Muktananda came up with. This has been going on for some time. And so in the 6 yogas, one of the things is you install the deity in your body. And oftentimes in Tibetan Buddhism, for those who have had empowerments, a lot of times you're installing the deity, whether it be the medicine Buddha or some Buddha, inside your body. The problem is that deities or a particular deity as a form does not necessarily fit your portal. So you might go and do the practice and, might get high from it and enjoy it and feel stoned and blissed out for a little while, but it usually goes away because that's a very, very specific form. So what I came to realize over time was that rather than installing the deity, if you could recognize your portal, whatever that portal be, and install that portal, energy, light, consciousness, awareness, whatever that be, install it into the body, then that would be your portal and it somehow would expand out. So just a little bit of context on the 6 yogas of Naropa. Naropa is really a Tibetan name. His original name was Naro. About 1,000 years ago, Naro was in a line of what they didn't call siddhas, they called mahasiddhas. So you had mahasiddhas dating back for hundreds of years, and Naro was the last in the Indian side of that particular line. When Naro left his body, he did not have a successor. He just had several students. And so some of the teachings were taken to Marpa, one of his students, who went, of course, to Tibet and became Marpa, the translator. And the little Indian side kind of disappeared. But it was about 1,000 years ago, and in those original teachings, without all the bells and whistles, a major piece was installing the deity, or installing that deity, your deity, inside of the body. Okay. Now, what's interesting to me is, at approximately the same time, about 1,000 years ago, the Vijnana Bhairav was discovered, realized. I personally believe that the Vijnana Bhairav, which is a collection of 112 yoga tantras, was just written down and collected and collected and collected over times as what is called dharnas, or techniques. Dharnas is the 6th limb on 8-limbed yoga, which means concentrations. What you can see if you study this material for long enough, you'll see that these two really intersect and overlap. There's a lot of continuity between the Vijnana Bhairav and the 6 yogas, and particularly on the issue of portals, or what Maharaj called a portal. In other words, in the Vijnana Bhairav, you would install or have your entire body as consciousness. Or you might have your entire body as emptiness. And if you spend some time with the Vijnana Bhairav, you can see how that fits as a portal, if, and that's a big if it is your portal. So those two basic traditions, which are still carried on today, what we'd like to do is to refine it, because if you're not into a deity or don't have a deity or it doesn't fit for you at all, you're kind of stuck. It just doesn't work. But maybe your portal is emptiness. Maybe your portal is consciousness. Maybe your portal is vibration or sound. Maybe your portal is light. So whatever your portal is, we'd like to discover it, work with it, and come away with some kind of we'll call it a practice to realize it, deepen it, and then you can just stay in the portal, so that your own unique path will merge for you, or stay in your portal as a portal to the absolute. The key thing as we go into all of this is that if your portal is consciousness, the knower of the consciousness, the aware of the consciousness, the observer of the consciousness, the witness of the consciousness, are all made of the same consciousness. If your portal is emptiness, the knower of the emptiness, the aware of the emptiness, the witness of the emptiness, the observer of the emptiness is made of the same substance. What that does is, it moves a dharna of tantric yoga from 6 limb out of 8. It flips it into the 8, which is the 8 limb of samadhi, until eventually even that falls away and there isn't even a samadhi. So that's the direction we're going in. The first portal we'll look at is one that might not fit for most people. It's dealing with Kundalini, energy, or shakti. The portal, which appears as Kundalini Shakti or energy chakra. To reiterate, Kundalini, Shakti, energy, Shaktipat, and the Guru are all appearances within the dream and part of the illusion. In short, be careful about getting seduced into believing that they are real and actually exist. Kundalini, the power of force that converts nothing into Shakti. Kundalini is that power which produces the vehicle of Shakti, which condenses down, making the world appear to appear. Kundalini as the power produces the Shakti, creating the illusion that you are and that the world is. Shaktipata or Shaktipata Diksha, initiation, or the descent of Shakti, unleashes or reverses the condensation of Shakti, thus thinning out and dissolving the world appearance. This is why Baba Prakashananda said, Shakti is Maya. The nature of Shaktipata. Each portal transmits and emanates through its vehicle. Shaktipat is a transmission. It is experienced accordingly through a vehicle, for example, a guru, and into a vehicle, for example, a disciple. How Shaktipata is experienced will depend on many factors, probably the most important being the guru's portal. If his or her portal is vibration, then it will be transmitted as vibration. If the portal is energy, then it can be experienced as energy, consciousness, or Shakti. If the portal is consciousness or Shakti, awareness or light, or sound, then it will be experienced as awareness or light or sound. This is part of the reason that mantras are given, because the portal of sound is a vehicle. Shaktipat is without ownership. However, since it moves through a portal, the transmission will be experienced through your portal of experience. Shaktipata, since it is experienced in space and time, appears to come through a point in space and time. Yet actually, Shaktipata appears through a condensation of nothing something and directly descends from the absolute nothingness or manifesting void. Because Shaktipata appears to descend through a vehicle or a person to a vehicle or person, therefore everyone's Shaktipat is different as it descends and is transmitted through a mind body. Metaphorically, the descent from the absolute to what you call you comes in the form of a drop or an energy packet or vibratory resonance. Contained within the energy packet or vibratory resonance is the trajectory and vibratory rate of that energy packet or drop. That vibration, now an energy packet, resides in the subtle form in the root chakra. Upon awakening, what is traditionally called Kundalini, that drop ascends up through the central channel in a subtle form until it reaches the crown of what you could call the crown chakra. At that point, when it arises there and remains there long enough, that drop evaporates and liberation ensues. As an aside, the name quantum was added to quantum psychology because quantum comes from quanta, which means energy packet. The practice. So many, many years ago in the early 80s, I was really, really into Kali. And so, as I got more and more into Kali and enthralled by Kali, I all of a sudden came upon the Kali Yantra. And what was extraordinary about it is that you had the Kali and then the Kali Yantra. So it was almost as if you could see nothingness, and then as the nothingness condensed, you had the yantra, and as the yantra condensed, you had the Kali. So you could actually see a very, very clear trajectory. Using the old format of Ramana Maharshi, which is go back the way you came, we're going to go back from the deity, whatever your deity is, to the yantra form, to just pure energy. So in the practice is very, very simple. All you do is you begin with your head and you experience your head as energy. Going through your body, my neck is energy, my trapezia is energy, my right shoulder is energy, my left bicep is energy, my forearm is energy, my wrist and fingers are energy, my right hip is energy, my left hip is energy. And basically you go through your entire body as made of energy until you reach a point where your whole body is just energy. At that point, you can take the label off of your skin boundaries and just have it as energy. You can take the label off of everything in the world and have it as just energy. And the key thing with this is that the knower of the energy, the awarer of the energy, the observer of the energy, the witness of the energy is all made of the same energy. Now, if energy is your portal, this is going to be like, wow, this is really, really easy. All I have to do is to abide in and be the energy. That's all. Because the physical universe would be just a byproduct on a much, much, much more subtle level of energy. So all you're going to do is stay in the energy. Your body is energy, every thought is energy, emotional states is energy. As was mentioned in earlier books, but also earlier DVDs and YouTubes, no matter what your feeling state is, you can always just take the label off and have it as energy. The key thing is when you do that, you want to make sure that you take the label off and have it as energy, or your body as energy, without the intention of changing it or getting rid of it in any way. So in Nidra Yoga, or Yoga Nidra, all you're doing is going through the body and putting your awareness on all the different joints in the body. With this as a form, if this is your portal, all you're doing is staying in the energy by going through the body, every part of the body slowly, having it as energy, the skin boundaries as energy, everything is energy, and the knower or the wearer or the witness of the energy as just energy. The portal, which appears as the I am, presence, or beingness. The experience of I am, presence, and beingness are all states and stations and are part of the dream and are part of the illusion. Question: most teachers, including Nisargadatta Maharaj, talk of the importance of the I am, beingness, and presence, Can you say more about that? Answer. Beingness, I amness, and presence are part of a portal. The biggest trap of all is thinking you are something or that you have something. In the 1980s, in quantum psychology, we often did a lot of work on deconstructing thoughts, memories, emotions, associations, perceptions, points of view or points to view from, or even source points. And the question often emerged is, how do you know you're in a point of view or a position or an identity? And the answer was always, if you feel special or different from somebody else, then you are in a point of view from, or an identity. You have the portal of energy, which is subtle form prior to the deity. But for many people who are into bhakti yoga, they would be more into the deity itself. If that be your portal, and you have a bhakti yoga bhav or attitude or way of being, what is traditionally transmitted is, step one, you're going to go through your body, which is your head is the body of the deity. You're going through your body, my jaw. And as we go through this, you can obviously do this as I'm doing it right now. So jaw is the deity. Neck is the deity. Your arm, your joints, right hip, left hip. And you go through your entire body as the deity until your body actually becomes the deity. Now, before we go much further, again, I want to emphasize, if this does not fit for you, then don't do it. It's not your portal. You don't want to effort at it. This should be effortless. You should, if it feels like, wow, this is great, this really works for me, terrific. If it's like, I'm not really into this, don't do it. As Lord Krishna said, it's better to do your own path imperfectly than another's perfectly. In fact, Lord Krishna even used the word dangerous. So if this is your thing, and this is your portal, you want to go through your body and install the deity, whatever that deity is, through your entire body. Next, you want to imagine the deity above your head. You also want to have the deity residing in your heart. And you want to join or imagine the deity above your head, its mind and heart, joined to your mind and heart. As you expand even further into this, you can imagine that the body of everyone you see is the body of the deity. So, if this be your portal, this will feel so natural and effortless and not crazy to you. And this, as Maharaj said, stay in the consciousness, if consciousness is your portal, as a vehicle or a portal to the absolute, and your own unique path will emerge for you. In the same way, all you're going to do, if this is your portal, is stay in this portal. And the key thing to always remember, and that is that the knower of the portal, the aware of the portal, the one that's doing this deity, is made of the same substance as the deity itself. So now we have two portals, specific, energy and the deity, or bhakti yoga or guru yoga. And of course, the mention of I am, beingness, or presence, which is a portal. If you just want to stay in the portal of I am, or the portal of beingness, or the portal of presence, all of those are vehicles or your own unique path. If being in beingness is a hassle and it doesn't feel right for you, or staying in the I am, you go, what's the I am? And I don't get it. I never get the I am. It's not your portal. If staying in the present or in the present moment or in presence If that doesn't fit for you and isn't effortless and natural, don't do it. If staying in energy as pure energy isn't natural to you, don't do it. What we're going to do is go through some of the basic portals that most people will have in variations, and they will shift and change so that hopefully you'll go, oh, this is perfect for me. This fits. This is effort. This is natural. This is Nisarga Yoga. As far as deity yoga goes, or bhakti yoga goes, a student once said to Maharaj, there's no bhakti in here. There's no bhakti in here at all. And Maharaj said, I'm a bhakta. I'm an Atma bhakta. I worship myself. And what Maharaj means when he's saying that is that you're worshiping that which is natural to you. Worship, all it really means is focusing your attention on that which is natural and is you already, effortlessly and natural. The portal, which appears as the void or emptiness or nothingness, space, vastness, hyperspace, or bardo, or the void yoga. The key thing is to have the portal as the subject. In other words, if this is your portal, emptiness, then the subject being the you that is the knower or aware of that portal has to be the emptiness. Once one realizes their portal or way station and sits, or better said, abides there, then the absolute is revealed. As Maharaj said to me, it will be revealed to you. The practice of the emptiness or the void is quite similar to all the others, but because the Vijnana Bhairav has several meditations which we can walk through. So you can do this eyes open or closed. I'm just going to go through a very, very simple meditation. From the Vijnana Bhairav, imagine your skin boundaries as a wall. Notice the emptiness inside the wall. And contemplate there is nothing substantial inside of it. Next, allow your skin boundaries to just be condensed emptiness. And allow that emptiness to expand to include all perceivables and conceivables, knowables or knowns, and everything in the universe. And now have the knower or the awarer or the witness or observer of the emptiness as being made of the same emptiness. In a moment, I'll ask you to open your eyes and just come back to the room. And before we get into the next part of this, I'm going to keep saying it again and again and again. If emptiness is not your thing, and it's not natural and effortless, and this is not your portal, you don't need to do it. The biggest concern is I don't want people to try to fit into somebody else's thing, whether it be energy, consciousness, void, emptiness, sound, vibration. If it's not your thing, then don't do it. Nisarga yoga is a natural yoga. So you want to do what's totally natural to you. In fact, it's so natural and obvious that it's probably gone unnoticed. Contemplation. Meditate on the illusion of the space, or meditate on the illusion of bardo. Contemplate. Nothing has an essence or an essential nature of its own. Everything, including the space, the silence, the stillness, or the bardo, is an appearance. Contemplate that any speech or words and labels are like water in a mirage. The portal which appears as light. In the portal of light, enlightenment is realizing that everything is a byproduct of light and made of light. Once again, the key thing is to have the portal as the subject. In this case, the doer, the knower, the awarer is light. So as with all the other meditations, the portal of light, again, light is a portal, energy is a portal. These are portals, these are stations. So with light, it's exactly the same thing. So you can do this eyes open or closed. Have your head as light. Inside your head is light. Your neck as light. Down your entire arm is light. Both arms, left and right. Down your thighs, down to your feet. Left thigh, right thigh. Your whole body is light. You can have your skin boundaries as light, and then expand out and have the entire universe as light. Now on your inhale, you inhale all the light and you hold it just inside your body into your heart on the inhale. On the exhale, you exhale, so the light just expands out entirely to the entire universe. You inhale, light goes in. Resides in your heart. Exhale from your heart, the light goes out. Another variation on this from the 6 yogas of Naro is have a fire at your feet and a fire at the top of your head. So from the feet, have the candle move up and the candle move down from the head, above the head, and both of them meet in the heart till your body becomes one light candle. And again, the important thing is that the knower of this, the aware of this, the perceiver of this, is all made of the same light or the same candle. If a thought goes by, make it into light. If a feeling goes by, take the label off and have it as light. But the delabeler and the knower and awarer are all made of the same light. So as you orient back to the room, the portal of light or you can be initiated by light or experience it effortlessly or natural to you as light, if that be your portal. Initiations or experiences come through specific portals. Some teachers back in the day would initiate through a mantra, which is sound, which we'll get into in a little bit, as a portal. Some teachers, like Maharaj, initiated me through light. Other teachers, or in systems like Buddhism, I noticed I would go to a Buddhist retreat center, and all of a sudden I'd go blank and I'd go into emptiness. The thing about it is that all of these different yogas or systems or approaches will offer you a different portal or vehicle of entry or a station to sit in. If the portal really fits for you and is a perfect fit, then it will stay with you effortlessly. You don't have to even think about it. It'll just be what you are and who you are. If it goes away, in other words, I go to a workshop or an intensive and I have an experience of energy, or I have an experience of vibration, or I have an experience of sound through mantras, but it goes away in an hour or a day or a week, and all of a sudden you have to work an effort to bring it back, then it wasn't your portal. Again, effort is a red flag that it's not your portal. It's almost like you're sinking back in to that which you already are, which is so natural to you because it is you. The key thing to always keep there in your consciousness is that all knowables and experiences are part of the illusion. So no matter how delicious the portal of energy, the portal of light, the portal of shakti or bliss is, it's part of the illusion. But by abiding in it, or as Maharaj would say, stay in the consciousness, to Mulapatan, since consciousness was his portal, stay in the consciousness as a portal to the absolute. It is a station. Don't get off there. Stay in that and just stay in there, and very gently you're guided prior to consciousness, prior to energy, prior to light, prior to vibration, prior to sound. The portal, which appears as awareness or consciousness. For the sake of this short YouTube, I'm going to combine awareness and consciousness. However, they are quite different. As will be discussed at the end of the YouTube, we will deconstruct all portals as states or stations that ultimately dissolve. What makes that difficult to talk about is that the I also dissolves. Nisargadatta Maharaj, in the absolute state, I do not even know that I am. Nisargadatta Maharaj, liberation is liberation from the consciousness. It's not that I am conscious or that I am aware, but rather, I am conscious and or I am aware is an appearance and part of the illusion. Awareness, which contains knowingness and consciousness, is the glue which holds the perceptual illusion of a gestalt, which means whole, together. Awareness makes the illusion appear real. Question: some teachers say that awareness is the end point. You seem to indicate it is a station or a portal. Could you say something more about that? Answer: rather than explore the teacher, let us look at and deconstruct the teachings. Awareness appears on the absolute nothingness. Knowingness, or the vehicle to which you can know or know about, is a byproduct of awareness. As a byproduct of awareness, the knowingness is one step further away from awareness itself. Knowingness knows or knows about things, including awareness, which creates a loop between awareness and knowingness. This loop both reinforces and gives the illusion that awareness and that which knowingness knows both is and is an endpoint. Let me say that again. Knowingness reinforces and gives the illusion that awareness actually is. And it also is knowingness which gives the illusion that awareness is an endpoint. This is why in the Shiva Sutras it says, knowledge, information, is bondage. Everything you perceive or know about is perceived or known about from one step lower. Lakshman Jew. Knowledge reinforces knowingness, and knowingness reinforces the concept of awareness. Awareness is a very, very subtle portal appearing on the absolute nothingness. The nothingness, or if we could use physics terms, we could call it hyperspace. Awareness and then knowingness all are appearances on the all that is. When Maharaj said, who you are is nothing perceivable or conceivable, it is because as all that is, knowingness, awareness, and nothingness are appearances. The absolute is even prior to all that is. Maharaj, in the absolute, I do not even know that I am. The operative word being know. Why? Because there is no knowingness. Consciousness is another vehicle awareness uses to know itself. Consciousness is a more subtle vehicle than knowingness and is the vehicle of awareness. Awareness and consciousness are portals which appear on the absolute. Consciousness and awareness are part of the phenomenological manifestation. In other words, they are appearances on the absolute. Both consciousness and awareness are appearances from the manifesting void. Awareness and consciousness are a name, nama, and a label, nama, for that which isn't. Maya is defined as that which isn't. The practice of working with consciousness and awareness is the same as all the others. If consciousness and or awareness is your portal, then this is going to seem very simple, very obvious, again, very natural, very effortless. If awareness is not your portal, you'll feel like you can't get it, you can't quite get it, you lose it, you're having to work on it all the time or stay focused on it. If consciousness is not your portal, you'll feel like you have to work on it, I don't understand it, and I don't get it. If it's difficult, if you don't understand it, it's hard for you to get, it's because it's not your portal. All we're trying to do throughout is to try to locate what it is natural and effortless for you, so that you just can do you. So in this practice, again, you can do this eyes open or closed. From the Vijnana Bhairav, imagine your feet are made of consciousness. In one swoop, have your entire body filled and made of consciousness. Your skin boundaries is consciousness, and the universe is consciousness. And most importantly, the knower or wearer, or the one that's doing this process, should be made as the same consciousness as everything else. For those who prefer awareness, imagine your feet as awareness and allow the awareness to entirely fill your entire body. And again, have your skin boundaries as awareness. And everything in the universe as awareness. And again, the knower or wearer of the awareness and the awareness itself are made of the same substance. And just for fun, take the label off of the consciousness or awareness and notice what, if anything, is underneath all of that. In a moment, I'll ask you to open your eyes, come back to the room, and kind of reorient. This brings to a kind of a subtle point, which is that the perception of consciousness is not consciousness. The perception of consciousness is a perception of consciousness, not consciousness itself. The perception of emptiness, if I say emptiness or space, most people will see outer space of some sort, space. But your perception of space is a perception of space, it is not space. This is why, again, Lakshmanju said that whenever you perceive something or experience something, you're perceiving and experiencing it from one level lower. In other words, you're not experiencing emptiness, you're experiencing the perception of emptiness. You're not experiencing consciousness, you're experiencing your perception of consciousness. You're not experiencing awareness or light, you're experiencing your perception of awareness or light. That's why in Zen they say, you're not seeing a bird, you're seeing your perception of a bird. You're not perceiving the actual bird, you're perceiving a perception of the bird, which is one level lower, to quote Lakshmanju. So the direction we're moving in is step one, to get really in touch with what is your natural portal, so it's effortless and natural to you, no work. And two, to ultimately let go of, or the portals ultimately dissolve and you realize, neti, they're not it either. The portal, which appears as sound, vibration, rhythm. Sound, in the form of a mantra, is often given as part of an initiation when one is getting initiated by a guru. The portal of sound or vibration or rhythm. What's critical in this is, and again, it's often given in mantra. Very often when you're initiated, you're going to get mantra, yantra, or tantra, or some form of teaching. So oftentimes mantra is given in any spiritual practice or any spiritual system. The problem is that oftentimes if your portal isn't sound or mantra, then it won't necessarily work for you. What that means is, whatever your mantra is, I'm chanting the mantra, I'm repeating the mantra, repeating the mantra, repeating the mantra. But I'll notice as soon as I stop repeating the mantra, all my stuff comes back. So if I have to work at mantra repetition or work at what they call japa or repetition of mantra, if it's constantly work and I'm trying to use mantra to overcome some other state or station, for example, in a bad state, I'm in a mantra till the state that goes away. Naturally, when I stop doing the mantra, that suppressed state is going to come back even stronger. I might go back and continue to try to do mantra, but suppression is only going to make it come back stronger. In the natural yoga, it should be effortless, absolutely natural and effortless, which means all you do is rest into and abide in sound or vibration or mantra. All mantra is a resonance or a sound or a vibration. So as in all the other practices, if this is your portal, it will feel so natural to you. So the portal of vibration has exactly the same type of process as all the other portals in trying to recognize what's natural. So once again, you can do this eyes open or closed. And again, feel the top of the head as vibration. Notice the vibration in the jaw, the vibration inside the head. Notice the vibration in the neck, the shoulder, the right and left shoulder, the right bicep. Notice the vibration in the forearm or the fingers, and the vibration in the left bicep, forearm, and fingers. Notice the vibration in the hip, the knee, the feet. In the other foot, the left foot, left calf and knee, pelvis. Notice the vibration in your stomach and chest, lower, middle, and upper back, the vibration. And allow your body to just feel the vibration. The skin boundary is vibration. And everything as just a vibration. And once again, the knower of the vibration, the aware of the vibration, the witness of the vibration, as made of the same one vibration. Allow it to expand to the entire universe as one vibration, and the knower of the vibration, or the observer or the aware, are made of the same vibration. Now in a moment I'll ask you to open your eyes and come back to the room. And as you orient back, there's an important thing to consider. Very often people will think in terms of a good vibration or a bad vibration, or a lower vibration or a higher vibration. Vibrations are vibrations are vibrations. And then on top of the vibrations are labels called good or bad or high or low or right or wrong. Recently I had lunch with somebody and they were telling me that they were judging, and judgments are bad. Judgments, rather than people trying to get rid of judgments, I shouldn't be judging anymore, or they start judging their judgments. My suggestion is to take the label off of the judgment and have it as vibration. In other words, if I have a judgment that says, you're bad, rather than me try to change it in some way, I don't want you to change anything. Change, paradoxically, is resistance. So rather than a change from a judgmental state to a non-judgmental state, which is judging judgments, so take a label off and just have the thought called you're bad as vibration or as energy or as consciousness or as light. Words represent things that don't exist. And as mentioned earlier, there are two primary illusions that the brain and nervous system have. The first thing is they believe that words represent things that actually exist, and that perceptions and conceptions of things mean they actually exist. This is why when they said to Nisargadatta, "Who are you?" he said, "Nothing perceivable or conceivable. If you can perceive it or conceive it, it's not you. Therefore, discard it." And another major illusion of the brain and nervous system is there's something behind all of this. There's a source or a source point or a point of origination. As mentioned earlier, one of the big breakthroughs in Zen is there is no source, there is no source point, there is no point of origination or point from which things originated from. All of those are concepts within the illusion. Jnana Yoga. Since Nisargadatta Maharaj is both my guru and mentor, obviously as not only a portal, but also as an approach, it was a perfect fit for me, effortless. From the minute I met him, I could listen to him forever. The fit was so perfect. I have a very, very close friend of mine who tried so many different paths for about 40 different years. And just recently, he clicked on the right portal, the right entry point for him. And he is so happy, the happiest I've ever seen him in his life. So Jnana Yoga, there are several contemplations, and these contemplations also overlap with the 6 yogas of Naro. The first, contemplate all day and night that all appearances are without an independent self, without an origin or a point of origination or a source, and are uncreated. Contemplate Nargajuna. Nothing comes, nothing goes. Nothing arises, nothing subsides. And there are no such thing as similarities. There are no differences. There is no duality. There is no non-duality. What's critical in the important part of this is duality and non-duality work in a play. One morphs into the other. It's a play of the polarities. Bad morphs into good. Love morphs into hate. Duality into non-duality. That is a constant, ongoing play. The important thing is that since you are the knower of that play, it can't be you. Or as Maharaj said, anything you can know or know about is not you. Therefore, discard it. What's important about that is you don't try to change things. If there's duality, it will morph into non-duality. Non-duality will morph into duality. Love will morph into hate. If you try to change hate into love or anger into forgiveness, you're resisting it. Just allow the play and the flow of polarity, or as Maharaj said to me, you stay out of it. Contemplate the body as an illusion. From the 6 yogas of Naro, contemplate the body as a shadow. Contemplate the body as a mirage. Contemplate the body as a dream. Contemplate the body as a rainbow. Contemplate everything as a mirage. Contemplate there is no such thing as origin, source, or a point of origination. Contemplate there is no such thing as a reason, or a logic, or a cause. From the 6 yogas, see all bodies in the universe as if they are appearing in a crystal ball. Experience your body as transparent. From the Vijnana Bhairav, visualize yourself and the world as an appearance, like a magician's trick. It appeared from nothing. Visualize yourself like the substance of a dream. Visualize your body as hollow inside. Contemplate the waking state, the deep sleep state, and the dream state are all states and are all labels. The waking state is merely a label on that which isn't. Contemplate there is no location, and there's no such thing as location. Contemplate that awareness is an appearance and is part of the illusion. Contemplate without samsara or nirvana that samsara and nirvana are part of the illusion. Bondage and liberation from the Vijnana Bhairav are just concepts. This is why it is said in Buddhism, those who seek samsara are ignorant, those who seek nirvana are ignorant. Contemplate all perceivables and conceivables are uncreated and unborn. Nisargadatta Maharaj, you are the child of a barren woman. Question: you talk about spanda and its appearing and disappearing. Can you say something more? Why we perceive everything as being solid? Answer: the important thing about spanda is after you get past the description of appearing, disappearing, appearing, disappearing, appearing, disappearing, transcending, descending, or any polarities, is that both appearing and disappearing happen simultaneously. Since they are both happening instantaneously, it makes the perceived world appear solid and always there. Why? This perceiving and appearing and disappearing is happening at the same time. It is instantaneous, giving the illusion of solidness or form, rupa, because in appearing and disappearing, There is nothing there to perceive, know, or be aware, or even record its absence. Question: can you say something about the known and the unknown? Answer: the known and the unknown are both states. They are both appearances on the Absolute. The Absolute is without the concepts of known and unknown. The thing to be cautious of is the trap of knowingness, whereby you think you know or know about something, or can live from a state of a deep embodied knowing. Nisargadatta Maharaj. Anything you can know or know about, you can't be. Therefore, discard it. Or, Nisargadatta Maharaj, if you can forget it or remember it, it is not you. Therefore, discard it. Question: can I live in a state of knowing the non-dual awareness? Answer: the known and the unknown are two states. Knowingness is the vehicle for knowing or knowing about. Beware of the trap of knowingness. Neither awareness nor consciousness have the capacity to know or know about themselves or that they exist. Knowingness is an abstracted layer projected upon awareness and consciousness. Knowing that you are is a state of knowingness, awareness, consciousness, which are both without knowing or knowing about. This is why Maharaj said, anything you can know or know about, you cannot be. Therefore, discard it. Knowingness or knowing has nothing to do with awareness or consciousness. Question: is self-inquiry helpful? Answer: intermittently, yes. Ultimately, no. Who, what, where, how, why are all questions within the dream universe. They are thoughts. The bottom line belief is that if I find out who I am, what I am, where I am, why, and now, then I will be free. Not so. All answers to these questions, along with the questioner, are part of the illusion, dream, or mirage, and are an appearance. The trap of believing I am the body, or the beingness, or the presence, or the conscious presence. The consciousness alone feels the expanse of consciousness, but I am not the consciousness. Nisargadatta Maharaj, liberation means consciousness is no longer there. Question: often it has been said the only thing you can know for certain is that you are, and that you are conscious or that you are aware. Answer: the trap of knowingness is very, very seductive. If I know about consciousness or awareness, that means I am viewing it through the vehicle of knowingness. There is neither consciousness nor awareness. You think because you know about consciousness or awareness, then therefore it is, and that it is real. This coupled with a strange phenomena, that if there's a word for something, then therefore it is. The Shiva Sutras: knowledge is bondage, and the cause of bondage is sound. Anything you can know or know about, you cannot be. Therefore, discard it. Even more directly, if you can forget it or remember it, it's not you. Therefore, discard it. Now the question oftentimes emerges is, how do you know that? The thing about that question, which I also have used, is that it requires a knowingness to know what is known about. Since you're not the knower or the awarer, the knowing this and who you are, as prior to that, and anything that is known or know about has nothing whatsoever to do with who you are. Therefore it has to be discarded. It is true the only thing I can know for certain is that I am. However, that is because I am viewing it through a knower or knowingness. Without a knower or knowingness, the conversation ends. Question: why is it that experiences seem so real? Answer: contained within each experience is a sense of I, and that it is and you are. Experiences and the I are like appearances in a film strip. This film strip appears on nothing. Aphorisms. The Absolute has no reasons, rationale, motivations, intentions, desires, need for completion, or desire to realize itself. There is no source, there is no not source. There is no free will. The Absolute is birthless, deathless, and immutable. The Absolute is unoriginated, free of meaning, beyond all words and expression. The Absolute is without thinking or experiencing, no mind and no intelligence, no feeling, no sensation, no ideas, no sense of self, no karmic impulse, no incarnation, no consciousness, no delusion, no acceptance, no rejection, no desire, no attachment, no good or bad, no evolution, and no self-consciousness, no sense of I or I am. The Absolute is without location, linearity, or cause and effect, or point of origination. Mind cannot arise anywhere, reside anywhere, or go anywhere. The source or a cause is an illusion. All states are uncaused, and all stations are uncaused. All states and stations have no location, no reason, are uncreated, and are not the source or the effect of a source. Even the Absolute, which is unknowable, unbeable, unattainable, is causeless. This is beyond the mind, which attributes cause and effect, a source and a location, to all that is. Beyond, without, or prior to the illusionary appearance of portals, Maya, that which isn't. A cautionary note. Oftentimes a portal is confused with the Absolute. All portals, spiritual paths, and spiritual experiences are appearances or labels appearing in the dream illusion. Eventually, the portals, which are experiences, dissolve. Prior to these portals is the Absolute, the nameless Absolute, that. Baba Prakashananda, you don't want liberation. If you have it, you will not be there to appreciate it. The portals are like a wormhole and are the furthest an eye can experience. All portals, lokas, and dimensions and forces are appearances on the Absolute. You could even say that all portals, including consciousness, awareness, emptiness, and vibrations, as well as energy, are labels. Maya, that which isn't. Therefore, all experiences of the Absolute are illusions. All knowledge of the Absolute is a perception. There is no liberation nor bondage nor absolute. Thus, the game ends. Question: from where does the bardo arise? Answer: the bardo, or space between, is a phenomenological experience. Therefore, it arises from and is a perceivable aspect of the absolute nothingness, or the emptiness, or manifesting void. Question: what can we do? Answer: all you can do is what you're doing, and ironically, that's all you can do. Everything that occurs is actually in the film and occurs within the dream. When we say everything is in the film, what it means is that before the sense of I appears, there is a movement. That movement, without a source or a source point or a point of origination, eventually appears as an I and what you call you. Metaphorically, it's like the ocean, which has a movement. Maharaj defined karma as movement. This movement produces a wave which heads towards the beach. Within the dream is the illusion of there being a source or a point of location or a point of origination. There is no programmer or originator somewhere out there in charge. It's all an appearance. It's all an illusion. Actually, there is no source or source point. A source or point of origination is a conceptual illusion which appears in the dream. Even the experience of a source or being source is an experiential illusion which appears within the dream. Moreover, Maharaj used the metaphor of a film clip in a film strip, which when moved rapidly appears and gives the illusion of constancy, meaning, and purpose. Anything that occurs must and has to be already in the film. Question: in the 1980s in the Dream Trilogy, you talked about bubble universes, and in the 1990s, you talked about void universes. What is the difference, and what exactly do they mean? Answer: a bubble universe could be likened to parallel universe theory in physics, or what is now more commonly referred to as the multiverse, or the many worlds interpretation. In other words, there is an infinite number of universes floating in emptiness or void, or what is called in physics hyperspace. The bubble universes appear and disappear. What you call you and all perceivables and conceivables, including energy, space, mass, time, gravity, along with all forces and fields and portals, give the illusion of being by appearing to appear in what we call our bubble or our universe, which appears in emptiness or hyperspace. We live in a physical universe or bubble universe with the parameters and rules and laws and perceptions of this physical universe. However, there are literally an infinite number of parallel universes in the multiverse. In Yoga land, they are referred to as lokas, or the Buddhists might call them realms. Each of these universes appears and are floating in emptiness or hyperspace. There are an infinite number of dimensions which contain an infinite number of interpenetrating universes and dimensions which are layered like layers of a cake. In membrane or brain theory, they would say that these membranes are floating in and interpenetrate through hyperspace which they call the bulk. Each bubble universe appears and disappears on the void or hyperspace. The laws, rules, and even the portals of each universe or parallel universes or bubble universe vary from universe to universe. Once this particular bubble is deconstructed, you are no longer in this bubble universe. When you are prior to bubble universes or dead universes, called void universes, and even hyperspace, then you are touching on the Absolute, which is indescribable. At this point, once the hyperspace and dimensions and the bubble universes and void universes dissolve or disappear, then all that is left we could call all that is. There are some who insist that the all that is wanting or trying or desiring to experience and express itself. This again is the subtle trap of the anthropomorphic projection, which appears from a point of view, and which contains the illusion of choice and volition, where neither exist. Prior to the all that is the Absolute, which, as Maharaj has said, the Absolute ever prevails. According to Nisargadatta Maharaj, this recognition, which can only be discussed through negation, but can be summarized by the 8 negations of Nagarjuna: without coming, without going, without arising, without subsiding, without similarities, without differences, without duality, without non-duality. All concepts of spirituality and spirituality itself do not even exist prior to the dimensions or bubble universes which appear and float in hyperspace. In short, spirituality and all universes and dimensions, multidimensions and multiverses, are part of the illusion. Nisargadatta Maharaj. There is an infinite number of gods within an infinite number of universes. However, since there is no point of view and no point to view from, and no frame of reference, and no reference to frame, no source or source point, or point of location or origination, Maharaj says, in the Absolute, I do not even know that I am. Or, as nirvana is defined as extinction, the Buddha said, no being has ever entered nirvana. Question: you have said infinity is a concept. Why? Answer: because infinity means without a beginning and without an end. This cannot be conceived of. Nisargadatta Maharaj: nothing perceivable nor conceivable. There is neither infinity nor not infinity. Question: what then is the purpose? Answer: there is no purpose. There is no such thing as source. Without a source or no source, without a point of origination or an originator, without a reason or purpose. To paraphrase Nisargadatta Maharaj, the you imagine yourself to be, You are like grass growing. Without energy, without no energy. Without space, without no space. Without time, without no time. Without distance, without no distance. Without location, without no location. Without source, without not source. Without a point of origination, without no point of origination. Without light, without no light. Without sound, without no sound. Without vibration, without no vibration. Without consciousness, without no consciousness. Without awareness, without no awareness. Without cause, without effect, without no cause and no effect. Without vibrations, without no vibrations. All that is heard, or that has just been read or heard, is non-existent. Shankara. All that is heard, or that has just been read or heard, is non-existent. Shankara. Liberation is liberation from the consciousness. Nisargadatta Maharaj. As the Absolute, there is no Absolute.